was born in 1947 in October, and my father, when he came back from the war, went to the Korean War after he got back from World War II, and in 1952 moved from Washington Boulevard up to 20th Street. And when I was 5 and we moved to that new house, the kids in the area wanted to show me what was interesting and important to them in their area. So they took me up on the mountain here in my brand new shoes to see these glyphs on this rock.
So you were about 5 years old, and this is in 1954? 52, okay.
Yeah, I was 5 years old. And they took me up here, and then after they took me here, we went to the top of the mountain. And the shoes were no good when I got back. But as I got a little bit older, a couple of years later, my friend and I came up and looked at these glyphs because they were mysterious but important to us. And I wanted to keep them secret, so unfortunately I chipped this glyph off of the mineralized rock. And with a rock, I put it down here on the white rock. And it is the upside down swastika, which is prevalent with the Navajo.
Point to it so I can see it.
Right here.
Okay.
Now as I got older...
So that symbol there, you put that symbol there, and it was the one that was up there. You just duplicated it down lower.
That is correct. Yeah. I tried to make it the right size, but it is smaller down here than it was in its original station here. When I got older and computers became popular, but still crude, I studied books, I got on the computer and the internet, and I found that 1/3 of these were actual Egyptian glyphs that you could pull right out of the book. 1/3 were slightly altered from what you could find in the book, and 1/3 could not be found in any of the books that I did research on. I talked to one guy in Belgium. I talked to other people that had some background in understanding Egyptian glyphs, and the interpretation that I came up with was that this particular site was a religious site commemorating, from what I could figure out, possibly a spring or a fall solstice, because the sun set down in the water. This is a cave, the cave that I interpreted as the river of death, whatever, and that it rose and was resurrected. So, very crude interpretation. That's what I figured out. I'm sure that there's more information there because symbols could convey a whole sentence to us, in their language. What is not shown here is there have been several earthquakes of a magnitude that have moved the rocks from their original position and moved them down the slope a little bit. In the back of this rock was an alcove that was about, I'm looking at it here, and it's about it was about 30 feet away. This alcove, the rocks had been taken out.
So you're just talking right here.
Yes. In fact, I will get back there and show you.
Okay.
Right back in this area was an alcove that was about 6 to 8 feet wide. It was open like a door, straight up and down on both sides, facing to the west, exactly past the glyphs toward the Great Salt Lake, and rounded.
So it was circular on the inside, perfectly circle, with kind of a key shape with a slot all the way from top to bottom.
Yes.
So you could walk in it in the circle.
As a kid, I could put my arms out, and I was probably a foot or so away from the wall or more. So now as an adult, if I put myself in the same position, I might just be able to touch the walls in the circular area that it had been restructured with putting the boulders back.
And it was about, you're saying, 8-10 foot tall, this structure?
Standing in the middle of it in my mind as it was, I'd say it was about 10 foot tall approximately, because I could also sit on the top and look down. And when you looked at the floor, there were no rocks on the floor. It was the actual dirt that you see here. There were no rocks whatsoever. So whoever had done it, taken all the rocks out, restructured the keyhole, made a slot opening facing directly west, according to the glyphs right here, right down toward the Great Salt Lake.
And so, when was the last time, what year was it that you seen that structure?
The last time I clearly remember the structure was probably, I have to think, probably around the time I was about 12, roughly. And when I was 12, what would that be?
In the early 60s?
Yeah, in the early 60s.
In the early 60s. So, possibly you're thinking maybe an earthquake destroyed it, or maybe somebody personally destroyed it, or...
My impression is that, you couldn't use blasting around here without upsetting the neighbors. Even when they blew up this Eagle Cave, as they call it up here, with dynamite, way down about a mile away, it cracked windows. So if somebody blew it up, they would know it. And I've heard of no story that happened. So my assumption is they have a lot of earthquakes in this area. The land is unstable. And it was the gradual shifting of the rocks, the moving of the boulders down slowly, just like this boulder. To me, it appears to have been moved a little bit, as big as it is, and the surrounding rocks seem to be out of place from when I was a child and looked, both in distance and in the movement down the hill. They've had some big earthquakes here.
So I know that, you've cleared up a couple mysteries for me, and I appreciate you telling you. You're probably embarrassed that you did what you did, but I appreciate you telling us so that we know, that...
I'm not happy about what I did.
What was, under that peck mark, there was a symbol there, and then that lower one I thought could have been a symbol, but it's one that you put there, and it mimicked what was the one that you picked off.
It is exactly in type the
Just
same
might
symbol.
Be the size might be a little different.
That I had chipped out, and it is smaller in size than the one that I chipped out.
How did you put your symbol in there? You just use a rock, a chisel? How did you do it?
The chisel marks for the glyphs are deeper than some of the graffiti that some people have put on, like that heart right there. That heart is superficial when compared to the depth of the tool used to make the glyph.
Right.
And when I picked up my rock, I couldn't even get very deep into the wider portion of the rock to make the exact symbol that I was going to take out.
So you made yours with a rock?
Yes.
Okay.
The sharp end of a rock. And I didn't do a very good job. No. But it is the same shape. It's not the same size, but it duplicates in every way the symbol that was taken out.
Okay, cool. So do you care if people know who you are, or do you want to be left anonymous, or?
My name is Paul Bergen, and you do things as children that are not appropriate, but hopefully by adding to the record in terms of the glyphs and other types of archaeology that are present that I found, that maybe it'll neutralize some of the things that I've done when I was younger.
So, yeah, like I said again, I just appreciate you coming forward and letting us know exactly what was there and what happened, because other than that, we wouldn't have known. So,
Ogden has a number of archaeological sites. Unfortunately, people, if they're not something you can pick up, people like to draw on them and write on them, completely inappropriate. And so, when we came up here, when I was a child, there were no paths here. It was all rough. And now there are paths, there are boards to help you make steps. So it's just a lot easier for things that are old to get damaged, even before we understand completely what the meaning of the glyphs might be, or some of the symbols that are found around here. So it's important that they're taken care of.
Paul, I appreciate it.
By more mature people, as we've become.
Okay, that's a wrap.
All right.
Thank you.